The second part of this financial literacy tutorial will talk to you about credit cards, tips for maintaining good credit, as well as student loans. All right, so to pick up where we left off, some tips for establishing credit. Establish good credit by taking out a small loan and repay it in a timely manner to establish a good credit record. I'll give you an example. My husband's mother, when he was 18, co-signed with him on a car loan. It was a small car loan, but this really helped set him up a credit score of some sort. And it followed him, and because of that, we were able to purchase our first car a couple years ago. We were able to do, after we purchased that car, then we were able to purchase maybe another car, and then our credit just began to really become in, a higher number. It became better, and so we were able to actually afford a mortgage loan after this. So all because of that small loan that really established his credit. Getting a single credit card with a low credit limit and paying it off each month will help you to establish good credit, and getting a prepaid or secured credit card. The most important thing about each of these options is to pay it off on time. So some tips for obtaining a credit card. You need to shop for a credit card with the best terms. You need to read and understand the terms in the disclosure. If you don't understand the terms in the disclosure, then you need to have someone help you understand those terms. This is going to be very important. You want to pay close attention to the various late fees and penalties. And you really need to evaluate whether a rewards card is worth the extra fees and costs. We see on TV all the time the commercials for Capital One and, all these the Discover cards and whatnot. And they talk about, free airline miles or cash back on certain purchases, those kinds of things. Well, you really need to read the fine print and determine whether or not there are extra fees associated with those rewards. All right, so credit card companies actively solicit college students. However, the new credit card law prohibits pre-approved credit cards for those under 21 and dramatically reduces the types of marketing and promotions allowed on college campuses. This photo actually used to be a very common sight on college campuses. Credit card companies can still have such tables with permission of the school, but cannot give away freebies to entice credit card applications. Other solicitation methods include, materials in your college bookstore and checkout bags, school logo cards promoted in various ways, solicitations in your mailbox, solicitations to the general public on websites, at department stores, airports, shopping malls, etc. So if you do have a credit card, here are some tips on using it wisely. So before you make a purchase using credit, determine 1, if it's better to wait and pay in cash. 2, how long it will take for you to pay off the purchase and how much interest you will pay above the purchase price. And 3, whether you can actually afford the purchase. If you can't afford it now, you got to ask yourself, can you afford it in 2 or 3 months from now? What's going to come up? And remember, let's say that you bought a pair of jeans for $80. If you're making those minimum monthly payments like we've discussed before, you might end up paying way more than $80 for those pair of jeans. All right, try to pay off the entire amount due each month by the due date. And limit credit card use for emergency needs only, like, a car repair, doctors, emergency room trip, that kind of thing. And don't ever max out your credit card limit. Keep your card balance below 30% of your limit. So here's just some tips, some top 10 tips. So number 1 was to keep track of all monthly charges as you make them. Number 2, avoid large impulse purchases and don't charge anything you can eat or drink. Don't go over your credit limit. Don't overcharge. Understand wants versus needs. Use one card with a low limit responsibly before raising limit or obtaining additional cards. Less is more. Ideally, pay your balance in full each month, but pay at least 10% of the outstanding balance each month. If you don't have the money to pay for it, don't charge it unless it's an emergency. Store your card in a safe place. Keep your card in view when you hand it to a merchant. Take all carbons and receipts home and destroy them. This is how we get into trouble with like identity theft and credit card fraud, that kind of thing. Close accounts when you don't use them. They hurt your credit score. And then don't use cash advances for normal spending. They usually have higher interest rates. So, maintaining your card. You want to monitor the interest rate section at the bottom of your statement. After the first year, credit card companies may increase your rates. This is usually a ploy. They reel you in with a low interest rate, and then after that first year, they jack the interest rate way up. And then also they can raise your rates during the first year if you're 60 days late with a payment or so. But by law, they cannot raise your rate unless you are 60 days late with a payment. A warning sign of debt trouble. Here it is, guys. When you pay credit card bills with other credit cards, that means you're in trouble, okay? This is when we know that we have a problem. So how do we get out of credit card debt? You need to, number one, stop charging purchases, okay? Pay cash, write a check, or use a debit card. Avoid charge cards. If you can't pay for it without putting it on a credit card, don't buy it, okay? And then calculate how long it'll take to pay off credit cards. You can visit these websites, and they can help you determine whether or not you can actually afford or how long it will actually take you to pay off your credit cards. And you want to make a plan to pay debt and to stick to it. All right, so getting out of credit card debt. Pay more than just the minimum payment amount. Ignore offers to skip payments. Interest continues to accrue on unpaid balances. And pay higher interest cards first, but don't miss any payments on any card because this will adversely affect you. All right, so now we're going to talk about new versus used cars. And one of the things that I hear a lot from students is, I need a car, or I'm working on getting my own transportation. These are just very common things that I hear about, and I also hear about the trials and tribulations that students go through with finding a vehicle. So just a few quick tidbits on vehicles. The average car depreciates 20 to 25% when you drive it off the lot. That is a lot. I hate buying a new car. It's my least favorite thing to do. And I specifically hate buying a new car because I know that once I sign those papers and I drive off that lot, that car has lost a lot in value. Used cars depreciate over time, but don't have as far to go. As far as if I were to go to Wilmington right now and buy a Honda Accord from Stevenson Honda that's used. It's 2 years used. It's got, maybe 20,000 miles on it. It's going to depreciate a little bit, but nothing like a brand new Honda would, depreciate. Manufacturer's warranties typically transfer when a vehicle has been previously leased by or used as a demo by the dealership. So just keep that in mind. My parents always bought demo vehicles, and that was just simply because they could get them cheaper and also because the warranty transferred. So you want to do your homework. Consider total transportation costs before buying. Comparison shop online for your purchases and your sale. All right. It is very important that you just don't go to a lot and the first thing you see you buy, because that's how you're going to get into trouble. You're going to realize that you may have missed a good deal. Comparative shop and don't overspend. Don't start shopping until you know exactly what your budget can support. Total transportation costs each month: insurance, fuel, regular maintenance, periodic repairs, tire replacements, annual renewal of registration and tags, inspections, brakes. These are all things that you need to consider. Internet search is available for MSRP and invoice price on all new cars, and Blue Book guidelines and Black Book auction guides are also available for all used cars. Do your homework. That's the most important thing. Internet search is available for all makes and models of cars for sale throughout the U.S. or just in your area, and check out comparable styles of the car you like by other manufacturers. Difference in sticker prices for essentially the same car can be dramatic. I'll give you an example. I'm a huge Honda fan. I love Hondas. That was my first car. But I'm going to tell you what, I could get a Hyundai for a lot cheaper than I can a Honda. And it deals with, it's the manufacturer. And so you have to just kind of weigh out what's important to you. You need to do research. What's the reputation of both companies. So financing your car. Comparison shop for the best interest rate and terms. Agree on a price before you talk about financing or trade-ins. And if you can't pay for it in 3 to 4 years, you can't afford the car. End of story. Check available financing, the interest rates and terms from your own bank or credit union before starting to shop. Remember, it may cost less to do a 3-year loan at a higher interest rate than a 4-year loan at a lower interest rate. Don't talk about financing until you've agreed on a firm price for the car. Low interest rate financing often translates into a higher sales price for the car. Don't trade in your existing car as part of the purchase of a replacement car. Dealers will only pay you wholesale value so they can turn around and sell it for retail, which you can get if you sell yourself and pocket the difference. If you can't afford to pay for the car within 3 to 4 years, you can't afford the car, as I said before. Carefully consider a gap insurance policy. Never purchase and finance life insurance, credit insurance, and or disability insurance with a car loan. These products are available in the marketplace for a fraction of the cost. Never roll over an unpaid balance on a trade-in into the auto loan for a new car. Critically analyze the cost benefit of any extended warranty offered by the dealership. One other thought on cars. Leases are never a good deal. Monthly payments may be lower than purchase, but you will end up paying twice for the car. The negotiated purchase price at the end of the lease will be more than the car's worth. You won't have a car to trade in and no down payment. Student loans. Just because you're granted a student loan for a certain amount does not mean that 1, you need to borrow this much, or 2, that you'll be able to repay this much. The new laptop or overseas study taken now could create a lifetime of debt problem, so borrow as little as possible, okay? As little as possible. I'm talking from a personal experience. I still owe $6,000 on a student loan that I'm having to pay off. Work study programs help defray the need for loans and give you a jump start for your resume. Work study programs are awesome. Explore need-based scholarships before you borrow. And use your loans for tuition, but earn your spending money. Don't use loan money as spending money. And you always have to ask yourself, you know what your major is. Is this major, what kind of job are you going to get with that? And is this job going to help pay off, what it took for you to get the degree that you needed? Some common financial mistakes. Rationalizing credit card spending as outside the budget. That's not a good idea. Don't try to maintain parents' lifestyle on a college budget. Your parents have been working for probably 20, 30 years. They have their own lifestyle due to what they've saved up and how they've lived. Paying fees for small cash advances and for withdrawals at non-member ATMs. Using cell phones over the monthly allowed minutes. Using a payday loan or check cashing establishment. Don't do those things. Some more common mistakes: paying fees for not using your credit card, paying almost the full balance on your credit card but not quite all of it, obtaining multiple credit cards without any need or use for them. And some words of wisdom: wealth is not the same as income. If you make a good income and spend it all, you're not getting wealthier. You're just living high. Wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. Lastly, we're going to leave you with the CARE program, Credit Abuse Resistance Education. We hope you've enjoyed. We hope you've learned something, and good luck on your financial literacy quiz.